What's going on, everybody? Welcome into College Football Now. My name is Joey Peterson. That is Will Ortner. And on today's show, we're going to be breaking down the big news that got reported yesterday of Sam Leavitt entering the transfer portal. Coming up, we're going to talk about the reports themselves. We're going to talk and hear from the athletic director at Arizona State, the head coach Kenny Dillingham himself, and then we're going to tell you the 10 schools to keep an eye out on that Sam Leavitt might be QB1 for next season. But, of course, On3 was the one that broke the news. Arizona State star QB Sam Leavitt's return to the program in 2026 is doubtful. Leavitt's camp is actively shopping the talented passer at a high level. And then, we got his brother, who's also his agent, screenshot this and made it a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, well, I would say that if it's the same brother that I'm remembering, he is a former NFL player as well. So he's gone through and experienced some of the things that Leavitt is going through, maybe more so on a professional level because he wasn't able to get paid during that NIL era. But I will tell you this, if I'm Sam Leavitt, it isn't a bad idea to explore all possible options just in case something goes your way and you can jump on it, right? Like after this year, getting hurt, missing a lot of time, I think it's always smart for college players and young athletes to make sure that you cash in while you can. It's not necessarily a good thing to say, well, don't worry, I'll make that money back down the road, because you don't always make that money back down the road.
Yeah, his brother got a text from Pete Nakos, the one who broke it for On3, and then he says, why would you do that? That's not where things are right now. He's still deciding what he wants to do. So things feel up in the air right now. Obviously, the transfer portal won't open up till early January. We'll know officially by then, but it feels like, he might be 1 foot out of the door from Arizona State. And Graham Rossini, the athletic director for the Sun Devils, said this after his injury. He said, we think Leavitt has got more in the tank here as a Sun Devil. He's got the opportunity to play at the next level. They've got to make the right decision for his family. And at that time, you knew just with where his talent level was, the market for really talented quarterbacks, that this was going to be something that was talked about. Kenny Dillingham probably knew it as well. And he wants his program to be at their best, to be funded at their best. And if you don't believe him, this is what he had to say just a couple of weeks ago. He said, I got a lot of confidence in our administration is pushing the chips to the table on winning football here. They're behind winning games, and I can say with a lot of confidence that they're going to support this place at a level that can win and compete in the Big 12. We find ourselves in a very weird spot of college football right now, Will, where these guys know they can make millions of dollars if they enter the portal, and schools like Arizona State, they might not be able to fund to keep them there.
Now, what's interesting about Arizona State is over on the West Coast where I'm from, there is kind of this belief that they are the sleeping giant. If someone can go into Tempe, like Coach Dillingham has so far, and he's been very vocal about trying to raise more and more money, it's a rich, affluent area. There is a belief that they are a sleeping giant. They can become one of the blue bloods, one of the top programs in that part of the country. I'll also say this about Leavitt. Leavitt comes from an area of Portland, West Linn, which is, well, a little bit more to do. It's a little bit more well off. So sometimes there is a move that these players will make, guys who come from a rougher area or don't come from as much money, where, hey, you have to go and get as much money possible from whatever school is offering that to you. Leavitt doesn't necessarily have to do that. Leavitt is going to go or stay at the place that gives him the best opportunity to become the best quarterback that he can be. If that he believes and his family believes is with Coach Dillingham, then he is going to go wherever Dillingham goes. If Dillingham stays at ASU, then he'll probably stay at ASU. If Dillingham goes to somewhere like, I don't know, maybe LSU, maybe he follows him to LSU. Or maybe there's a third option where he believes a different coaching staff can get the most out of him. Leavitt is going to go where is most beneficial for Sam Leavitt to be a quarterback in the National Football League.
I couldn't agree more. We'll await his decision, obviously, over the next month and a half. We got top 10 transfer portal destinations coming up in just a second. Before that, sound off for me. Where do you think Sam Leavitt will play in 2026? This season in 2025 has been an interesting one for him. Obviously, there's been ups, there's been downs. When he was playing, 60% completion percentage, 1,600 yards, 10 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. But He has not played in the month of November so far, obviously, because of that foot surgery that he had to have that sidelined him for the rest of the season. So with the injury, with the money that he could get elsewhere, you can see why this decision might be made. I think the first school to look at is the Miami Hurricanes. We all know that they just paid Carson Beck a little bit over $4 million to come in and be their quarterback. That's a season after paying Cam Ward a lot of money to do the exact same. I feel like Mario Cristobal has set this precedent of going to get good quarterbacks in the portal. And if Sam Leavitt is available, we all know Miami has the money. They're going to throw it at him.
I'll tell you this right now, just be careful with this one, because for most of the recruiting for Leavitt, Mario Cristobal was the coach over at Oregon. That is right down the road from Westland, maybe an hour and a half drive, 2 hours maximum. And Leavitt wasn't being really recruited by the local schools. He had a big issue with Oregon State. It's why he left Michigan State. Remember, Jonathan Smith was the coach at Oregon State. He then goes to Michigan State, where Leavitt was at, and he left that program because he didn't see eye to eye with Smith. Smith was bringing in his own guy, Aiden Childs, and Smith did not recruit Leavitt the way that he should have when he was over at Oregon State. Don't be surprised if Leavitt still has some sour grapes when it comes to Mario Cristobal and that staff over at Miami, because most of them were Duckies.
You know what can heal sour grapes, Will? $4 million a year. Indiana is another school to look at. Fernando Mendoza, most likely going to be a top 5 pick in the upcoming NFL draft. He made the move from Cal to Indiana, and I would expect them to be looking to have another guy to come in and make that move. Look, Coach Sig has proved that all he does is win, and all he does is make the most out of quarterbacks.
Right.
He's done it his entire career, and he's been doing it in Indiana so far. If I'm Sam Leavitt, I think the Hoosiers are a top place I'm looking at. I think Texas Tech is another school that we've got to talk about, not just because of the success that they're having this season, but Cody Campbell and their donors over there in Lubbock, they got that oil money.
Oh, yeah. So whatever Sam Leavitt could want, they're going to go and get it. Not just from a money standpoint, but from a player standpoint as well. If I'm Sam Leavitt, I want a bounty of good receivers around me.
Yep.
I want big, strong, southern offensive linemen that are not afraid to move mountains for me, and I want a rushing attack that is going to make my life easier in the play-action pass. Texas Tech can do all of those things. That would be a fascinating spot, the Red Raiders, in my eyes, if I'm Sam Leavitt, not because of how much money they can give me, how much they can give the rest of my teammates so that I can have the ultimate team around me. Too often we get upset about super teams. If I'm a player, I want to play on a super team. Makes my life a lot easier.
Yeah, big sign at the front of the student section when they played BYU. I love oil money, drill, baby, drill. The Tennessee Volunteers are another team that's going to make this list, and for good reason. Joey Aguilar, he's going to be out of eligibility after this season. He will be gone to what is ever next. They've got a true freshman 5-star quarterback in Faison Brandon coming in, but Josh Heupel and true freshman quarterbacks rarely mix. They've got a couple of talented young guys on the roster right now with Jake Merklinger, who most people think is going to enter the transfer portal, and then George McIntyre, who is currently in his freshman year. So Josh Heupel is going to have to answer the question, do I want to give the reins over to a guy who's going to be in his second year, a true freshman who's going to be on campus for 8 months by the time the season rolls around, or am I going to go get another bridge, stopgap guy in the transfer portal like they did this season with Joey Aguilar? Could that be Sam Leavitt? I don't know if Sam Leavitt is their answer. He seems like he's going to be a little bit too expensive for the Tennessee Volunteers, but I think it's at least worth discussing, as is LSU. The Tigers find themselves on this list. Obviously, they're in the middle of trying to find out who is their next head coach. And odds this morning or yesterday morning jumped up greatly for Kenny Dillingham to be that next guy, Will.
Yeah, this is a fascinating development for me because, again, and I mentioned it earlier, Dillingham has been known for, hey, I'm an Arizona guy. I went to Arizona State. He went and hired most of his staff that have ties to the university. They are Sun Devils in some way, or they grew up in the area. It is interesting to me that there is smoke around Dillingham leaving for LSU. Now, if he does go to LSU, the very first call that I would make if I'm Kenny Dillingham is to Sam Leavitt, and it's, hey, come with me. How many times have we seen coaches in the college football ranks leave one spot for a better spot, and they bring their quarterback with them? If I'm Dillingham in this one, I know that I have a star quarterback. It's not a if or a but. He is a star. He's proven that he can take a team to the college football playoff. And again, if the reffing isn't horrible, they probably win a game against Texas. If I'm Dillingham and I decide to leave to LSU, Leavitt's coming with me.
Yeah, it was very interesting development. Really makes me think maybe something is brewing behind the scenes with Kenny Dillingham and LSU. The morning the odds shoot up, that's also the same day that Sam Leavitt is announced into the portal. Definitely something to keep an eye on. Another thing to keep an eye on is our awesome sponsor of today's show, our great friends. Oh, before we talk about them, thank you, Jack. Will Kenny Dillingham leave ASU? Let me know down below. Give me a yes or no in the comment section. Is he going to stay a Sun Devil for life, or will he find greener pastures? Of course, greener, talking about a little bit more money. Speaking of that, you can win some money with our friends over at Prize Picks. This episode is brought to you by our great friends. The hard-hitting football action is even better with Prize Picks. The weather might be changing, but the feeling of being right, it never gets old. So keep the season rolling on Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. Follow other Prize Picks players directly on the app and copy their lineups in one click. Whether it's a friend, a celebrity partner, or just someone whose picks you like. Hit the follow button and check out every lineup they create in the new feed tab on Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the only app that offers stacks, meaning you could pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. You want to pick more on Marcel Reed's pass yards, rush yards, and touchdowns. Now you can pick all of them in the same lineup only on Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. The link to this promo is in the comments and description of today's video. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. I felt that it was right to put the Auburn Tigers on this list, just given the fact that they're going to have a new head coach. They're going to have a lot of guys in their current recruiting class leave, a lot of guys that are currently on campus leave, and let's be real, they didn't really have any good quarterbacks on campus to begin with. Whoever that new guy is, whether it's John Sumrall, whether it's somebody different, maybe it's, Eli Drinkwitz, I don't know who it is, there's a good chance he wants to bring in a big fish quarterback.
If I am Sam Leavitt, there is no shot, and you know what, that I'm going to Auburn. They are going through a complete program upheaval, and I've got, 1 year, 2 years left to play quarterback in the NCAA football? No, there's no shot. If I'm him, I'm going to a place, again, kind of like Texas Tech, where either they can spend the money to bring in the exact players that I want, or what I would recommend to him is go to a spot that is a quarterback away. Leavitt is smart. His brother, who is his agent, is smart. They know how to put him in the best spot possible so that he can really show off what his talents are. No, I'm not going to Auburn.
Next up is North Carolina. And before you scoff, before you click off, let me remind you that they offered Quinn Ewers reportedly last year $6 million in the transfer portal for Quinn Ewers. So if you don't believe that there's not financial backing behind Bill Belichick, and maybe with how this season has gone, there's less financial backing than there was when he originally got there. They've got the money. They feel like they might need a quarterback. Obviously, things are not going like they were thought to go or supposed to go. Sam Leavitt could be the guy that kind of makes that change in North Carolina. Oregon is my third team on this list. I think there's a chance if Dante Moore leaves, goes to the National Football League, they could want to bring a guy in, but obviously you being our Pacific Northwest guy, Will, you know a little bit more about this than I do.
Yeah, the only way that Leavitt goes over there is if Dante Moore leaves, and right now it does kind of feel like that's closer to a 60-40, 65-35, that Dante Moore is going to stay in Eugene. Now, he started off the year very well, but as the season has gone on and he's lost some of his better weapons on the outside, you've obviously seen some of that production dip. I also wonder, too, with the Ducks, yes, Leavitt, I'm sure, would love to come back home. He could go back to our old gym that we used to go and work out at and, just be closer to family. I also think it's important to note, same as with Mario Cristobal, Oregon did not really recruit Sam Leavitt. They did not view him as a player that could be a big difference maker for the Ducks. And I think there's a little bit of that chip on his shoulder. Sam Leavitt has a confidence about him that he can make anywhere into a top-notch program, and you can see it with his play on the field. He's not afraid to try and fit balls into spots that most quarterbacks his age would not do. I don't know if I see him going to Oregon for that factor and for the factor of I don't know that Dante Moore's going anywhere.
Yeah, I don't know if Oregon's the most likely. I think it's definitely something
It's a
that
possibility.
should be discussed, given that it is
100%.
his hometown. I think the Ole Miss Rebels are easily a team that's going to make this list. Look, if Lane Kiffin goes, who knows who they're going to hire? Who knows what that situation is going to be like? That's something they're going to have to figure out possibly over the next month or so. I can easily see that as a destination that Sam Leavitt ends up as. And we're going to round this list out with the Vanderbilt Commodores. Talk about coaches that may be leaving, may be staying. Regardless, Diego Pavia is not going to be a Commodore again next year. Even, I don't know, maybe he'll sue the NCAA for the 7th time. But Vanderbilt, sure, they're winning now, but their recruiting is not at the level that their play is on the field. They're going to need a quarterback next year, and Sam Leavitt could fit with a guy like Clark Lee.
Well, I'll tell you this. Leavitt is smart. Like, he is smart enough to get into Vanderbilt. That's always been their Achilles heel. Can you get the players not only to get into the athletic program because of their athletic skill, but get into the university? Leavitt would be someone who would fit that mold, and it does go and stand to reason of Vanderbilt, if they have the right QB in, they clearly have the coaching staff that will get the most out of the other players around him. I don't know how likely of a possibility this is, but at the end of the day, sometimes you just kind of have to go where you think is right. Maybe Leavitt thinks that Nashville's right for him.
Nashville's right for a lot of people. Awesome city, great state. Where should Sam Leavitt play in 2026? Not where will he, where should he? If you were in his shoes, where would you go? Let me know down below in that comment section, and appreciate you guys for hanging out with us today. Again, he's Will Ortner. My name's Joey Peterson. We're going to have you as covered as we ever have on anything college football right here at Chat Sports, so make sure you subscribe and turn on those notifications anytime we can make a video. You'll be right there with us, and great. We'll see you next time.